Humans are predictable. We act and react in certain ways to certain triggers, and today I'm going to tell you what those triggers are and how you can use them to get more engagement on your Instagram. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I help people create better Instagram content so they can build an engaged community and turn their knowledge into income. Now, if you can understand the psychology of your followers, understand how they think and why they engage, you can create content that resonates with them on a much deeper level and ultimately will help you get more engagement. Now, the first psychological trigger you can use is known as the mere exposure effect. So you've probably been told you need to post every day, and there's a good reason for that. Not only are you building good habits, not only are you becoming a better creator and understanding your niche and your followers even more, but there's actually a scientifically proven reason that it benefits your audience. And the reason is that the more that someone sees something, the more familiar they become with it. And the more familiar something is, the more trustworthy and the more likable it becomes. And if something is trustworthy, if something is likable, well, then as people, we're much more likely to want to engage with it. So the very simple solution for you is that if you want people to engage with your content more often, you need to post more often. But there is a flip side to that. Now, if you're posting every single day, that's good, and most likely the mere exposure effect will work and your engagement will increase. But it will only increase by a certain amount, and at some point you will plateau. Now, when this happens, the chances are it's because your content is not nurturing your current audience, but it's also leaving a bad impression on your potential new audience, which means that your overall engagement just isn't increasing. And that leads me on to the next psychological trigger, which is called the halo effect. So have you ever heard the saying of don't judge a book by its cover? Well, there's a reason people say that, and it's because actually we do judge books by their cover. And this is called the halo effect. And in practice, what it means is that the first impression you have on someone will determine how you then see that person moving forward. So if when you first saw me, you had a good first impression, then everything that comes out of my mouth, everything that I create, you see in a good way. But if you had a bad first impression, then everything that I then do, you would see in a bad way and ultimately in a negative way. So in practice, what does this mean on Instagram? Well, it means you need to not settle for anything less than your best. You have to go in with the mindset that every single action you take could be that first impression for a new follower. And one of the best first impressions you can give someone is having valuable content. Now, valuable content comes in many shapes and sizes, but one of the easiest ways to guarantee a valuable piece of content is to create what I like to call a small win. And what this means is that you create a piece of content that someone can take and is very actionable, and they can implement it right away and get a small win. For example, this post here I posted recently is a perfect small win. People read that post, they implemented what I said, and they had a good benefit from it. And the proof is in the pudding. I had DMs, I had messages after that post from new people who had just come across my page from that piece of content saying how much they enjoyed it. And that's a perfect example of how the halo effect can be positive. But the first impression doesn't only apply on that macro scale, it's also on the micro scale, which brings me on to the third and final psychological trigger, which is the serial position effect. So on a very basic level, the serial position effect means that the person reading your content is going to remember the first thing you say and the last thing you say. Now, when they remember the first thing, it's known as the primacy effect. When they remember the last thing, that's called the recency effect. But what does this mean for your content on Instagram, and how can we apply it? Well, let's take the example of a carousel. On your slide 1 and slide 2, that's where the primacy effect is going to have the most impact. But on slide maybe 9 and slide 10, that's where the recency effect is going to have the most impact. So first you have to make sure that on those first 2 slides and on the last 2 slides, that there's some form of cohesion, that they actually make sense if you put them side by side. But the second thing, and the most important thing, is you have to make sure that those first 2 slides, they have impact. And the impact you want to have on those first slides is a hook. You want to hook people into the content, but also create a little bit of context around what it is you're actually talking about on this post. And then on the final 2 slides, the mistake people make is they don't have a clear-cut sort of takeaway from the post. So what you want to make sure is that on your slide 9 and on your slide 10, it's very clear, a very direct, a very valuable takeaway from that post related to those first 2 slides. And if you can make sure you do this on every single post you make, whether it's a carousel, whether it's in your caption, or whether it's in a video, then you're guaranteeing that more of your audience are going to resonate with that post, and ultimately more of your audience will then engage with it. So to summarize all of that, you need to understand the psychology of your followers, understand how they think, why they think, and how they act. And when you can understand those things, you're able to create content that actually has the result you want it to have. Okay guys, so look, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And also, if you're interested in finding out how to, increase your reach, how to improve your content, and also to get more engagement, check out this video here, and you'll find that really, really useful for what you want to do. But other than that, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.